Welcome to another conversation. So here today I'm joined with Benedictines TheVegan, and we're going to get into his YouTube channel, some of his views about veganism, antinatalism, and just generally have a conversation because I've been I can't actually remember how I discovered you. I think you must have come up as a recommended video on YouTube when I was watching something else, or maybe someone shared one of your videos in a Facebook group. Um, and then yeah, I've been watching your videos since then. And it's sometimes it's quite nice to be taken through a journey of South Africa in your videos. Like you can see in the background you walking around. But yeah, so do you, for anyone that doesn't know, do you want to give a quick introduction about like who you are, your background, and like what's about your YouTube channel, what sort of topics you cover and stuff?
All right. The name is Benedictines TheVegan. I'm from South Africa in a small town called Malamlele, where everyone speaks Tsonga. Tsonga is one of our languages here in South Africa. Um, I have a YouTube channel called Benedictines TheVegans, where I talk about deep philosophical issues like antinatalism, veganism, and I also want to talk about spirituality as well. It will get there. I also want to interview people, ask them what they think about antinatalism. I feel like it's important that I introduce antinatalism to, our part of the world. It seems like a lot of people don't know about it. I never knew about antinatalism until, I realized that I didn't want to have a kid. And then, that's when I started to know, to do my research and discovered antinatalism.
Yeah, so I mean, you've basically like gone into it there. That was one of the questions I was going to ask. Like when did you become an antinatalist, and like how did you discover it? You said that you first decided that you didn't want to have a kid, and then you found antinatalism. But like, how did you get to the decision that you didn't want to have a kid in the first place?
Yeah, it was 2018. I think it was September 2018. I was going through a lot at the time, and I asked myself a very important question. I was like, would I want to come back and experience the stuff that I've experienced in this world?
Mm.
And I realized that I wouldn't want to come back. So I asked myself, if I wouldn't want to come back, then why would I want to bring a child into this world if I don't want to come back to it? I've already realized that it's not a good world. So why would I bring someone else into this world? And then I realized that I don't want to have children. It was weird to me when I first realized that I don't want to have children, because I never had anyone say that they don't want to have children. So when I
Mm.
felt like that, I felt like something was wrong with me. So I started to, do my research, went online, and you know, and typed what is the word for people who don't want to have children for philosophical reasons, and then I discovered antinatalism.
And what was that like? What was that like discovering antinatalism online? Like, did you find a video, or did you like then order a book and read a book, or what was it? How did you sort of um, what was the process of you once you discovered it, like learning more about it?
After discovering that the word for people who don't want to have kids for philosophical reasons is antinatalism, I went on YouTube and searched for the word antinatalism and discovered
Mm,
a couple of videos. So what I would do back in 2018, I would download audios like on YouTube. I would use Snaptube to download audios of people just talking about things that I wanna hear people talking about. So I downloaded a lot of audios of people talking about antinatalism, and I
mm.
realized that, damn, like all the things that they're saying are true. Like everything that they're saying resonates with me. I agree with everything that they're saying. So from that point forward, I knew that I'm an internatalist. However, the problem that I had was that in the beginning I didn't think that it made a lot of sense for everyone else in the world to stop having children. At the
Mm,
time, it was just about me. I was like, my morality is for me. Now I'm gonna prevent, you know, a child, from coming to this world. That's good. I didn't. I was kind of selfish. Let me put it that way.
mm,
But then I realized later on that no, actually, there are a lot of people who wish they were never born. And if I just think about myself or preventing my child from experiencing this, I'm being selfish. I've reached a level of awareness that many people have not reached. So why should I not talk about it? Why should I not try to educate people? Because there was a time when I didn't think the way that I think now. So why
mm.
don't I try to make people see things from my perspective? So yeah, that's when it all started.
Yeah, 100%. And you mentioned like you then realize there are a lot of other people who would prefer not to be in this world, and like I hadn't realized until I became antinatalist and started to like talk to more people about this sort of subject. I didn't actually realize how significant a number of people um, that is. Like if we use it's kind of a rough metric, but if we like use suicide as a general like rule of thumb of that person, probably has assessed their existence as actually I'd prefer not to have existed.
Yeah,
Um, then like suicide I think is the like 15th leading cause of death in the world, and it's only 15th because often how the data is ranked is that they separate different cancers. So if you merge all cancers into just cancer, then it's higher or lower, however you look at it, than 15. Like it's a more of a leading cause of death, which I hadn't realized before. Right before I started thinking about these things, I thought it was just this sort of like rare thing, that like happened to people that I don't know or whatever. But it's a lot more common than I thought. And at least in the country I'm in, I believe it's the leading cause of death for men between, I think, the ages of like 25 to 34, or in maybe someone's going to correct me on that, but I think I'm right. So it's a good point you make there. So when you then sorry, I've got a bit of a cough. So when you like discovered antinatalism and you realized, oh, I'm an antinatalist, did you keep your beliefs to yourself generally, or did you tend to express them in in conversations with people, or did you even go out and try and spread it even wider?
yeah. One thing about me is that I like debating with people a lot.
Mm,
Like there's nothing that I love in this world than debating with people. And that's not an
mm,
exaggeration. I'm toxic like that. I love debating with people. So whenever I realized or reach, let me say I reach a new level of understanding, I always want to talk to people about
yeah.
my understanding. So yeah, what I did was, I started asking my friends, like, yo man, do you think it makes sense that we keep on bringing children into this world, knowing that a lot of people are suffering, knowing that we are going through a lot ourselves, do we really, really love this world, or we just feel like we're obligated to be here somehow? So I started to talk,
Mm,
to a lot of people, and how people react to this kind of stuff.
yeah,
They
yeah.
think that you're crazy and stuff like that. But nah, I wasn't afraid to talk to people about it.
And what sort of reaction? I know you said that people reacted in the way that generally people always react, like, oh, you're crazy and stuff like that. But given, because I'm in the UK, right? So I'm in like a, what would be termed like a Western country with like like a very Americanized like country, should we say? Um, so I'm sure the culture here is different from in South Africa.
Yeah, very,
Um,
very
and
different.
yeah, and maybe then that will cause people to react differently. So what has your experience been like of talking about antinatalism in South Africa, and how do you think it's maybe different from in a country like the one I'm in?
Um, one thing that is always bothered me about South Africa is that people are very easy to program. People are not really able to think outside the box. So when you think outside the box, they think that something is wrong with you right away. They don't try to like really understand what you're really saying to them at first. But if you keep on talking about your beliefs, enough until they start paying attention, they start to realize that, hey, actually, this guy makes a lot of sense. You know, in my culture, we we are supposed to, you know, continue with the bloodline. Like that's what is expected, from
Mm,
every male. We're supposed to continue with the bloodline. So when you say, I don't want to have kids, people are going to ask you, then, who's going to continue your bloodline? And in my family, I'm the only guy. I have two sisters, and I'm the only guy. So people ask me that, yo, how are you going to continue your bloodline? Your father is going to be mad at you for not wanting to have kids, and it's not like you can't have kids, you just don't want to have kids, man. That's an insult,
mm,
and people will be angry, at me, because sometimes when you tell people the truth, and they realize that what you're saying is true, I don't know. It does make them feel angry because they're in denial somehow, you know. So yeah, people will be angry at me sometimes. But I've always been patient, because I really like
mm.
debating with people. So I know how to be patient when I'm talking to them. So there've been a couple of people that ended up realizing that actually this guy makes a lot of sense. But in the beginning, they were like, "Nah, something is wrong here." They thought it was witchcraft. Like
Mm.
they used witchcraft on him, man. They're trying to stop his bloodline. That's why he's thinking all this crazy stuff. I mean, who thinks like that? But they end up
Yeah.
realizing that no, he makes a lot of sense. It's not like he's just saying he doesn't want to have children. He's actually backing up his point.
Mm.
So they started to understand me.
So, like, off what you've just said, I got like three questions, and I'll try and remember all of them. So, the first one is, so you're saying like you really like debating people. The debates you have, are they just like debates you have with friends, or do you go to a specific place, or do you like do online debates? Where do you usually debate people?
Um, I usually debate with friends, but sometimes my friends introduce me to people who like debating as well. People,
Mm,
that they feel like, okay, I think this guy, is interesting enough to debate with you. So yeah, I sometimes meet up with these people and then we debate. We have spoken about uploading some of our, because we'll record some of our debates, and I think that's gonna happen in the future. But yeah, and I've never done online debates, and I've never uploaded any of my debates.
mm,
But yeah, I normally debate with my friends, but then they also do introduce me to people who like
mm.
debating as well. So I debate with these new people, almost every month.
Yeah, you should definitely upload some of those debates. The ones that you think are worth uploading, because I think people would find them really interesting, especially especially I think a lot of the stuff on a lot of the stuff on YouTube, like on antinatalist YouTube, um, it's from like a select few countries. And it would be really interesting to get more content from different countries, because this is an issue where culture is quite important, because the like the relationship that people have with their children, or procreation as a thing, is can vary quite a lot between cultures and religions. So I think it would be really useful to have more content from different countries and see how different people react. So I think they'd be really popular if you uploaded those debates, the ones that you think are worth uploading.
True, true. No, I'll definitely upload our debates. I think I was talking to one of the girls that I like debating with, she's very intelligent. She's a Christian. We usually debate about Christianity and
Mm.
stuff like that. And yeah, she was telling me that we should debate every week about whatever we feel like is worth debating about, and we should upload the content. So yeah, I think I will be doing that from next year.
Mm.
Yeah, I think it.
And you also mentioned about your family as well. How has the, and go into as little or as much detail as you want with this, but how has your family reacted to like antinatalism? Have you discussed it with them? Do they understand where you're coming from, or do they just go like, it's just his stupid thing?
Yeah, I've discussed antinatalism with my mom. In the beginning, she used to say, I think you are just broke. Once you start having money, you gotta change your mind.
Yeah.
But now she knows that I'm for real. Like I really mean what I'm saying. I think she understands where I'm coming from, because there are a lot of people that are suffering. She knows
Mm.
a lot of people that are suffering. So I always give example with people that we know, and be like, do you see, uh uh this person brought a child into this world knowing that they do not have a job. They are living in poverty, they're struggling a lot. Do you feel like that makes sense? Shouldn't they get their things together at least? Because I'm trying to talk to her on a level. I'm not trying to seem a bit extreme, but yeah, she really seemed to understand where I'm coming from, and she's starting to agree a lot more now. Back then, she used to think that it was just being broke, but now she realized that it does make sense.
Mm.
Um, I've also spoken to my dad about it. My dad is kind of passive. You can tell him something that's crazy, and it doesn't like really react to it. So
Mm.
I don't really know how he feels about it. I've also spoken to my uncle about it. He was saying the same thing that my mom was saying, but I think after he watched some of my videos, so I think after watching my videos, he realized that no, actually, it does make sense.
Mm. Mm. Yeah, and now I want to kind of like switch on to veganism now and hear about so basically the same as with antinatalism. Like, when did you become vegan? How did you, discover? Like, how did you, come to realize, animals, we shouldn't be, treating them the way we're treating them, and they're not just resources for us to use and stuff. How did you sort of come to that understanding?
Yeah, the story is kind of weird, man. I met this other girl in it was 2016. Yeah, we were attending the same school. This girl, was a vegetarian, but because of health issues, it has nothing to do with how she views the world. And
Mm.
she kept on telling me about a lifestyle. Kept on telling me about a lifestyle. Kept on telling me about a lifestyle. And then we ended up dating, and I think that somehow made me want to look into like vegan, not veganism actually. It made me want to look at how vegetarian live their lives, and then I ended up discovering veganism. I ended up
Mm.
discovering this guy. What's his name? And he was popular at the time. Uh, he's a very outspoken person. He has this weird surname, this long weird surname.
What does he look
Yours
like? Is he
was
bald? Are you talking about
yeah,
Gary
it's both.
Ureski?
Yeah, exactly. I
Yeah.
don't I don't know how to pronounce his surname. This why.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah.
discovered these videos and I was like, why ain't they that popular? Like this guy makes a lot of sense. What he's saying is
Mm.
true, 100%. You can't
Mm.
debate what he's saying. So I ended up realizing that no, actually, I need to change the way that I live my life. I need to become a vegan. And yeah, that's how I became a vegan. I think I was really inspired by that girl at the time, the girl that I was dating at the time. And yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
since
yeah,
then, that was my view on the world. That no, the way that we're treating animals does not make sense
yeah,
anymore.
yeah. So, a typical man. There's always a woman involved. There's always
There's
some
always, you're
motivation with a
right,
woman involved.
you're right. There's always a woman involved.
But yeah, it's interesting about that you mention Gary Yourofsky. Like he has
Yeah,
had such a
yeah,
massive impact, and he still continues to have such a big impact, even though he's not. I'm sure he's still doing his own stuff, but
yeah,
he's no longer uploading to YouTube or anything. He doesn't really have like a public presence anymore.
yeah,
But like just that one video that got uploaded, it just changed so many people. Like for me personally, it wasn't his video that made me become vegan, but I watched it on the same day that I became vegan, and it like cemented what I understood. Because I came I became vegan because I had more of like I don't know what you'd call it, like a realization, like an emotional experience. It wasn't like someone presented me with an argument and then I was convinced. It was more of like a emotional experience, connecting with an animal, and then from that, I basically, what you said you did with antinatalism, like you had these views, so you like Googled, what does this mean, blah blah blah. I did that with veganism and found Gary Yourofsky's speech and then watched that, and yeah, I'm
no,
actually doing. It's World Vegan Day in 2 days on the 1st of November.
no. I haven't been following this stuff, and that's crazy. A lot of people do post because I'm in different of veganism groups, and they do post about this stuff. But I
Mm.
haven't really been following this stuff. Because also with antinatalism, I think they do have a date for that, right? Well,
Yeah, I don't know what it is actually, which is bad. I'm not sure what it is, but
I didn't know, man, and I think it's important that we take these dates seriously, man,
yeah,
and celebrate our lifestyle.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, so yeah, it's interesting that you got there through Gary Yourofsky as well. He's had like such a big impact, but yeah. So with with veganism, like how was that? So you said like you met this vegetarian girl.
Mm.
Is like being vegan, is it at all common in South Africa, or do people just not know what it is at all? Like do they think you're like some alien when they meet you or something?
They actually think I'm some kind of an alien when they meet me. It's crazy, People will start asking you different questions, like, "You don't eat meat? Are you sick? What?" What I mean? And you start to explain to them that no,
Yeah.
actually, I just don't like how we're treating animals, and
Mm.
I've decided that I'm not going to participate. That's all. I'm not sick at all. Meat doesn't make me sick. Eggs, do not make me sick. But I just don't think that it's okay to treat animals the way that we're treating animals. But it's not common at all. I'm the
Mm.
only vegan I know. Like I've never met another vegan in my life.
Oh,
It's,
really?
it's so crazy. Like I've never met another vegan. I've met vegetarians, just like my ex girlfriend. She was a vegetarian, and I met maybe two vegetarian. Yeah, so including her, I've only met like three vegetarians.
Mm. Yeah, that's really interesting, and it's like it kind of, yeah, it shows like, cause I actually did a live stream with a friend the other day, and we were talking about reasons people stop being vegan, and we were talking about how one of the reasons is that people they maybe don't have like a support network
Yeah,
of, in some way. But obviously there are some people who just don't really need the support network, and it seems like you're one of those people, because if you've never met another vegan, um and yeah, of course, I'm assuming you interact with vegans online as well, but
yeah,
it's not the
online.
same. Yeah, it's not the same as having in-person vegan friends who you can talk to. But still, interacting with vegans online is good, and you can build somewhat of a support network. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's like it's interesting that you've never met another vegan.
I've never met, except for the guys, and I've never really met them. But we do have these guys, the Rastafarian guys. You hear that there's a Rastafarian in the next village,
Mm,
but I'm not sure if they don't consume all animal products. I'm not sure how
mm,
how their whole religion is about is but I what helped me.
mm,
I I think I've always had my own views about the world, and
mm,
views that people didn't agree with from the beginning. I was always weird. I was always considered crazy. So I grew up being misunderstood. So when I became a vegan, it didn't bother me to not have like people who supported my beliefs, because I was already used to not being understood. I was already used to being alone. So especially when it comes to philosophy, because
mm,
a lot of people, when they think about certain things the same way, they tend to form groups. But if you are really alone the whole time, you think you see the world differently, then I think you become strong. You learn to cope, not being understood by other people, and that I think that's what helped me. But if I grew up, with people that always agreed with me, and then I turned vegan and they said, "No, you're crazy. Why would you stop eating meat?" I think it would have made me feel a bit skeptical. But because
mm.
everyone was not agreeing with me from the beginning, it wasn't that weird.
Yeah, no, it's true what you're saying. Like, if you're used to having to stand on your own 2 feet, like ethically speaking, rather than you can rely on like background culture, because most people get their morality just from the culture they're born into, and they don't really tend to think outside of that. And so,
Yeah,
if you're used to being outside of the culture that you're surrounded by, then you're maybe not as like susceptible to like tribalism in terms of
yeah,
like the views you have and the way you think. um because you're not scared to step outside of like the tribes that people tend to form.
yeah.
um so yeah, I agree with you there. um have you ever done any like I know activism is like a very general term, so like interpret this like however you want. But have you ever done any? And ignore your YouTube channel for now, because I would consider your YouTube channel a form of activism. But besides your YouTube channel, have you ever done any form of like vegan or antinatalist activism?
No, not yet. I want to do a lot of that next year, starting from next year.
Mm,
Um, I think one of the reasons why I still have not done that is because I live in a village, and I don't feel like people here in my village um are that open minded. It's different. Um, it's different like when you meet new people in a city where like people who are different, people who don't see things the same way. It's easy to do your activism there than doing your activism in a place where everyone sees things the same way. They will attack you because they all see things the same way. But if you go
mm,
to a big city where there's different people, then it's easy to be an activist there. So yeah, I want to do a lot of that next year. Yeah, I want to ask people about veganism, wear veganism shirts, ask people about antinatalism. Like I want to be all over, starting from next year. I think it's really important, man, because there isn't that many people that I've seen that are doing that in South Africa. I think there's only this other guy that I've just I was talking to maybe last week. I found this guy through YouTube as well. He's a vegan and an intellectualist. He's from South Africa as well, and he does talk about veganism as well. But I really have not seen people really going out there and talking about veganism. I've only seen people going and doing their activism in people who live in other countries, people who live in Canada, people
mm,
who live in the US. But in South Africa, I haven't seen people who do that. But I think I'm gonna start. I'm gonna be one of the best few people to do that.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing that, man. Because I mean, one, you'll be doing activism, which is always good, but also, like I said before, like it's I think it's really important, especially with this topic, to have people in the public eye who are from all around the world doing it, because you know it, unfortunately, like when you're hearing a message or when you're having a debate with someone, it shouldn't be relevant who is telling you the message. You should just focus on the message. But we know how humans are, and they do focus on the person who's telling them often. So
Yeah.
like if we want to win people over, we have to take that into account. And so it's good to have a variety of people talking from different like cultural backgrounds, and different parts of the world, talking about these things. Because if someone watched a video of me talking about something, and let's say they were from a country nearer to you, but they happen to see a video of me, they might not relate to me because they're not
Yeah.
from the same part of the world. They maybe don't, maybe they find my accent funny or something like that. I don't know, some like strange things. But if they saw you saying the exact same thing, they may be more open to it. So I think it's important to have that like variety.
No, you're right. You're right, man. It's not easy to relate to someone that you know has not seen the kind of things that you've seen. If you
Yeah.
hear a white person talking about veganism, you're gonna tell yourself, oh, maybe they come from a better part of the world. Maybe they had everything. So it's easy for them to be vegan. But if
Mm,
you see someone like you talking about veganism, you're gonna be like, wait, it's possible for anyone to be a vegan. It's possible for anyone to see the world the same way vegans see it. So, they'll be, a bit more open to it than if they're just, seeing someone that they don't really relate to talking about
mm,
it. So yeah,
yeah.
you're very, very right. So yeah, that's why I'm going to do that. And another thing that I've realized is that it's not just in South Africa where people don't really uh, understand veganism. It seems like everywhere in the world, people don't really get it. So I was wondering if you've met that many vegans in your life. If you have vegan friends, if you have people that you talk to, on a regular basis about veganism.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Maybe this will shock you because you've never met another vegan, but yeah, like literally all the time. I would say most of my friends and most of the people I interact with now are all vegan. Um,
Oh, you've met them
veganism.
after you became a vegan, or you knew
I met
them.
them after. Yeah, I met them after I became a vegan. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I met them through doing activism. I used to do a lot of animal rights activism, street outreach or going into farms, different things. This was all before, up to like 2019, 2020. Um, and then since then I haven't done as much, but I've started to do this stuff on YouTube. But yeah, it
You know,
like
you, you, you you look like this other guy that I saw on one of the videos about veganism. You might not be him, but you look like him. On this video, this guy, I think he went for like a year without talking or something like that.
yeah, I was gonna say you're talking about James Aspey because yeah, yeah, because
Yeah,
a lot a lot of people mistake me for being James Aspey. But I mean, there's many differences, but one difference between us is like he's Australian, so he has a different accent to me. But then,
oh,
maybe people who don't don't interact with Australians or British people a lot, maybe they wouldn't tell the difference between the accent.
yeah. I wouldn't be able to tell the difference.
Yeah. But no, it's funny you say that because a lot of people make that mistake. And actually, I once was interviewed by someone who thought I was James Aspey. And as a joke, I continued doing the interview, even though I was doing it in my
Yeah,
normal accent. So I wasn't sure. They obviously didn't know James Aspey about him that much. Otherwise, they would have told, like, they could have told that I wasn't him. But
Yeah, true. I
and
mean,
then
if
at the
you've only
interview, I told them
watched
like,
one video, and then you won't
yeah,
believe
exactly. And then
until
you
the
know, like
video.
he's covered in tattoos and stuff, and like I've got no tattoos, and yeah,
Uh,
yeah, yeah. But yeah, 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 that's funny. Um, but like going back, so talking about activism and how you want to do more activism. So when I like invited you on to do this discussion, I went onto your channel and I wanted to see like what is the most viewed video that you have on your channel, because I've seen like a bunch of your videos, but I'd never actually looked like which one has the most views. And I don't know if you know this, I don't know if you've checked, but like I think the most viewed video on your YouTube channel is a YouTube short, like a short video that you made, um, talking about how you think that sex should not be nice, and
I
how it's
didn't
like
know
a
that was the most viewed. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, I
and how it's
remember.
like a yeah, like it how it's like a it's like a trap that DNA sets for us to keep like perpetuating this cycle. And I wanted to ask you about that because I think this is an interesting topic to get into. Or not that specific topic, but I thought we could use it as a starting point because, um, like, so antinatalism is seen as like an extreme view to most people, right? And so it's quite hard to talk to people about it already, and for them to take us seriously.
Yeah,
Um, but if we add on like if we're putting into our public message things like saying that we don't think sex should be nice, and obviously like we know that the vast majority of people like enjoy sex, otherwise they wouldn't do it, right? And it's like a big part of people's relationships and stuff like that.
mm,
So I can imagine that some people would say like expressing the views that you talked about in that video,
mm,
um, they're not completely necessary to talk about when you're talking about antinatalism, and they can make
true,
antinatalists look more strange and more extreme.
true.
And maybe people would say that it like damages how we come across. What would you say to someone who says that?
Um, you know, sometimes when I make shorts, I'm not really making shorts to educate people. It's to get,
Yeah, yeah,
grab people's attention. So if I
yeah,
say
yeah, yeah.
something that seem a bit extreme, I know it's gonna grab people's attention. But if you watch my long, form videos, you realize that I don't even mention that. I might talk about it, philosophically, but I don't really say, "Oh, sex shouldn't be nice." I don't remember saying that on a video,
Yeah,
on a
yeah.
long video. So it's just to get people's attention, because if you say sex shouldn't be nice, I mean, people are obviously are gonna react. So yeah, the idea is to get out there, like what Kanye West is doing, because people just think the guy is crazy. No, he's trying to get everyone's attention, because it's not that easy to get people's attention. But once you got
Mm,
their attention, now you start saying things that actually make sense, so that they realize that, oh, he wasn't crazy, because it's not that easy to market yourself. So, I
mm,
always tell myself that there's no such thing as bad publicity. However,
mm,
yeah, I do um find it weird that sex, people are not, when they have children, they're no longer, I mean, men, especially men, they're not eh, having sex to have children. They're having sex for pleasure, but they end up having children because of nature, because sex is so nice. So I find it, very weird that that's how most of the people, were conceived. It's not
mm,
like it was people, many people who have kids one actually wanted to have kids. I don't know anyone who actually told me. I don't know in my cycle. I don't know anyone who actually wanted to have a kid. They'll tell me that, what, I was just trying to have sex, for fun, whatever. And then, my girlfriend got pregnant, and that's why we have a kid. And what's fun is that they'll repeat the same mistakes over and over again. It's crazy. So it shows you that,
yeah.
sex is what's, I mean, the pleasure of sex is what's trapping most people. So I find it
Mm,
weird that, you would bring people into this world, even if we do not want to, because we're trying to, experience pleasure.
mm. Yeah, so I get you. So it's like it's putting something that would be considered uh controversial or extreme or something someone would click on to get them to come to your channel, and then
Yeah,
they will maybe watch more stuff, and then they see more reasonable stuff. And
yeah,
I think that's a valid reply to say to someone who would say the criticism that I mentioned before, because this is a tactic used by a lot of groups. So I don't know how like if you keep up with what happens in the environmental movement at all, but in Europe, um, I don't know if you've seen on the news, a lot of environmental activists have been chucking like cans of soup at famous paintings, or they've been like spraying paint all over, very expensive buildings. Have you seen any of this?
no, no, I haven't seen that.
So basically, they're doing this because they, obviously throwing a can of soup on a famous painting has no relevance to the environment, right? It's just
Yeah,
completely disconnected. But what they're doing is they're doing something controversial that they know will get people's attention, and then the attention is on them, and then they can tell their message to people, because
exactly.
and it's been very effective. These people have been in the news constantly and with very little effort. I mean, how much effort is it to go into an art gallery and throw a can of soup? It's not that hard. These people are not like highly trained SWAT teams or something that are like breaking into these places. So
Yeah,
it's a tactic that's widely used, and I don't think it always works,
yeah,
but
it doesn't always
it's
work.
something. Yeah, it's something that can definitely work.
Yeah, yeah. I think you gotta like if you want it to work, you gotta have a good
Sorry, I think we cut
strategy.
out a bit there. But yeah, I think it's something that would, yeah, can definitely work. Can you hear me still?
Yeah, I can hear you. I can only hear your voice though. Your face is not moving. You kind of froze, but no, no, now,
Okay. Yeah, I can hear you now. I think we're back to normal.
yeah, yeah. No, no, I get you. Yeah, sometimes it can backfire, like you were saying, because you can get arrested. You might not even
Mm,
get a chance to defend yourself sometimes. So people will just think that, oh yeah, that you see that group was what we've been saying about that group is true. That group is crazy. You don't get to explain to people that no, actually, this is our message. This is what we're actually saying. It's not about throwing stuff and into or onto art and whatever. It's about the message itself. So yeah,
mm,
it can work for your benefit, but sometimes it can backfire. So people need to have a good strategy.
mm. So I wanted to talk about like your YouTube channel specifically, but you mentioned at the start that you also talk about spirituality, and you wanted to talk about that. So
Yeah.
what do you like? What did you mean? What do you mean by spirituality? What do you think about it? And like, what do you speak about? What are the views about spirituality that you like share publicly?
Yeah. I think it's important for people to ask themselves questions like, what are we? Where do we come from, and where do we go when we die?
Mm,
Is this all there is, or after this there's another life? So yeah, those are the kind of things that I talk about. I also want to talk about what reincarnation as well. What I think about this world is that it's actually not like matter is an illusion. Like everything is a product of consciousness. So what happened is that we were put in a very low state of consciousness where we're vibrating very low, and in this state of consciousness we're hating one another, doing all the crazy stuff that we're doing. And what's gonna save us is, if we start, vibrating very high. And I think we can do that through, veganism, through antinatalism. Because if I say that this world is not good enough, I do not want it, I do not believe in it, that means that I'm going to try to do things that are going to show that I don't like this world. I'm going to do the
mm,
opposite of the things that I do not like. And that's going to help me start, vibrating at high levels of awareness. So that's how I look at it. So that's what I mean by spirituality. I'm not talking about, praising a god or meditation, stuff like that. I just it has a lot more to do with what reality really is. Why what is reality made of, and how do we free ourselves from this world? How do we connect to something higher than us? You know,
Mm.
how do we become better visions of ourselves? Yeah, so yeah, that's what I mean by spirituality.
And you were talking about how, if we have low vibrations, we're maybe more in conflict with each other and we can raise our vibrations through things like veganism. What do you
Correct.
mean by vibrations? Is this something in our body, or is it in how we, is it in our like mental state, or in the way we think
Yeah,
about things? Like, what do you mean by vibrations?
it is the mental state. Uh, the way that I see it is that if we always think about hating one another, we put in ourselves into a vibration of fear. We put ourselves in a vibration of scarcity, where we'll keep on fighting for things that we shouldn't really need to be fighting for. Let me give you an example. Let's just say you are living with 10 siblings,
Mm,
and there's enough food for you. Right, there's enough food for you. You don't necessarily need to fight for your food. If you are vibrating very low, or if some of you are vibrating very low, what's going to happen? Some of you, and some of you are just going to steal the food. Sometimes you're not going to want to make sure that everyone gets their share. So when we're vibrating very high, we start thinking about other people. I mean, if
mm,
you think about animals, you will be able to think about other people. So
mm,
when you have something, you're not gonna be like, okay, this is all for me. I don't care about other people. So that's how we raise our vibrations. So I think if we are not able to do that, if we only think of ourselves, we are lowering our vibration. We,
mm,
we find ourselves in this state of scarcity, in this state of fear, where we always have to be fighting with one another. So I think that is why the world is in the state that it's in today. But if we realize that no, actually we can do better than this, we can raise our awareness and start seeing things better and realize that we're all made of the same things at the end of the day. That's another thing that we must realize. We're all made of the same thing. Like even with the animals, they bleed as well. They do feel emotions as well. So you can't say that there's that much difference. If I'm able to say that, okay, a dog has emotions, I must be able to relate to the dog, and
yeah.
I must try to make its life better than it is, because I can. I do have the power to make sure that my dog is happy. So if
Mm,
we raise our vibrations and stop being selfish, I think we can. We and that will be our only chance at at freeing ourselves. The crazy thing is that people are not willing to do that. They're still stuck in their religions. Hey, there's a God. This God is right, and your God is wrong. These are the kind of mentalities that are keeping us in lower vibrations, because they're causing war, they're causing separation. So I want to teach people to truly become one. We have to understand that we are the same. We the truth is, we don't know anything about this world. We shouldn't be subscribing to ideas that are destroying us, like
mm.
religion. You must just understand, you weren't born knowing anything. Life comes with no instructions, so you just have to decide for yourself what you need to do to make things better. So yeah, that's what I want to talk about. Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. But like before you described what you meant by vibrations, it's a term I've like heard people use in terms of spirituality, um not regularly, but like sometimes, but I've never really known what people meant by it. So it's like, thanks for clearing that up. Um yeah, so that I want to move on to YouTube specifically now, because I don't want to, use up all of your time in the day. Uh, what made you like start a YouTube channel? Because it sounds like, from what you're saying, you live in a small village. Many people think the same way, and you've tried to interact with them to like change their minds on certain topics, and you've had, you know, some degree of success, but also many people have been resistant. What made you then think, well, I'm going to start putting my views out to a global audience?
Um, it started, you know, like I'm an artist. I'm a rapper. One thing that I like doing is express, my deepest feelings.
Mm,
So, whenever I feel something deeply, I wanna, it makes me wanna express myself. So it started with that. It started with wanting to express myself. If I did not decide to express myself, I think it would have it would have, maybe I would have, had to deal with depression, because if you don't express yourself, imagine having this kind of awareness and you don't talk
yeah.
to anyone about it, it's gonna make you feel depressed. But then, um, I started, realizing that I can also help, people who think the way that I do, realize that no, they're actually not alone. There are people who actually see things the way that they see them. Because I don't know that many people, who really see things the way that I see them. Um, I mean, I'm not just talking about antinatalism, because it's not just about antinatalism. It's also about how we view the world. It's not just about not wanting to have children. So when you really speak your truth, when you really tell people how you really feel and how you really view the world, some of them can relate and realize that actually, I'm not alone. I thought I was
Mm,
alone in this. You know, Sometimes, you a person might feel suicidal, and then when they watch your video and realize that actually I'm not alone, they might start to feel a little better, because you don't want to feel alone, especially when you
mm,
think the way that I do. So yeah, it started with just wanting to express myself, but also realizing that actually I can make a difference.
mm,
If people can relate to what I'm saying, they can get to feel better, because people don't even realize that even, when you are being nihilistic, you are helping some people, because you think that you just have to say positive things to help people. No, some people are so real that they want to hear the truth. They want to hear what they think is true.
mm.
So
Yeah.
when you are speaking the truth like that, it does help them.
But what made you specifically think to start a YouTube channel? Because for me, um, I have a friend who runs a YouTube channel, right? So he sort of suggested it to me. He, he's helped me a lot, and continues to help me a lot, like with setting it up and ideas and feedback. And like I'm really grateful for all of that. But like, so that was the reason that I had the idea, because I already had a friend doing it who encouraged me to do it. But so do you know anyone who runs a YouTube channel, or did you just think one day, oh, I've seen other people do it, I'm just going to do it? Or like, how did you come to decide to start a YouTube channel specifically?
um I uploaded my first video, not my first video, but the first video, where I was expressing my views in 20, I think it was 2019, if not 2020. Um, I was inspired by this rapper. His name is Daylight. What he does is that, he, just record himself talking about, you know, stuff that people do not talk about, and then upload some of these live streams on YouTube. So yeah, that inspired me. I was like, if he can do that, I can also do that, because I don't need to have a camera. I can just use my phone. I'd never seen anyone using their phone before.
Mm,
So because I always wanted to be to make YouTube videos, but I always thought that I needed to have a camera. But seeing him just using his phone made me think I can do this as well. I can just record myself walking around, talking about how I feel, and upload it on YouTube. So yeah, that's the guy that inspired me.
mm. Yeah, that's really interesting. And where so you've already talked about how like you'll maybe upload some like debate videos that you've recorded, or audio, and also you plan to do like more activism next year, which presumably you'll record at least some of it and upload it. But like, do you have any plans on where you want to take your YouTube channel in the future?
Yeah. Yeah. Like I said, that I want to debate with people. I want to do activism. I also want turn it into a podcast,
Mm,
but a different kind of podcast. Not a podcast where I'm inviting celebrities. A podcast where I'm inviting people who view the world differently. They don't
mm,
necessarily need to be internationalists, but just people who view the world differently.
mm,
So I think it will get there one day. Maybe in 5 years it will get there. But yeah, for
mm,
me, it's about really giving people what they've never been given before. I feel like lots of podcasts are the same, lots of YouTube channels are the same. I was searching for South African YouTube channels 3 days back, and I realized that everyone is talking about the same things. Girls are
mm.
talking about beauty products, guys are just making pranks, stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So bringing something different that will truly be helpful. Imagine working um in the street of Joburg, asking people about antinatalism.
Mm,
I think it will be something that's very, very different because no one is doing it. So yeah, that's the idea.
mm. Well, I'm guessing you're aware of maybe the world's most famous antinatalist, David Benatar, right? He's in the same country as you in Cape Town. I don't know if that is like near the village that you live in, or like if it's in a completely different part of the country. Have you ever like been to Cape Town and seen him give any lectures or anything, or you've never had any sort of crossover with him?
Oh no, I was very surprised when I heard that he was from Cape Town because in South Africa, I don't know, there ain't that many people who do that.
Mm,
Who think the way that he see the world. In South Africa, people just black people seem to just like having fun, like making music, stuff like that. They don't really, they're not into philosophy. So
mm,
I was surprised. I live very far from Cape Town. I've never been to Cape Town. It's very far. I think it's like no, it's very far. I'm not even sure how many kilometers from here to Cape Town, but
mm.
it's really, really far.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I just wanted to ask you if you'd had any crossover with him, just because like he's like very famous and he's in South Africa and you're in South Africa,
I
but
don't think
it
he's
was
famous in South Africa.
no. I mean, yeah, maybe he's not inside, but like he's famous in like the like philosophy sphere, maybe, and like as famous as an antinatalist can be, basically, which
Yeah,
isn't very
he's
famous.
he's pro he's more famous in America than he is in South Africa. That I can tell you.
Yeah, yeah,
That's
yeah. Yeah, I could maybe guess that because yeah, yeah. Um, so this is maybe leading on from you were talking about how you wanted to start a podcast one day talking about things that are outside of the mainstream,
yeah.
um, and that kind of brings me on to my last question. I wanted to ask you, so we've already spoken about veganism, antinatalism, spirituality. We've kind of mentioned religion as well, but a bit. Um, I wanted to ask you, like, what is one issue that like we haven't spoken about yet that you care about and you want to share your opinion about, and maybe it's one that you haven't even spoken about on your YouTube channel, but something you think's really important, but you haven't really spoken about much yet.
Mm, I think internationalists must find a way to really, really connect. I think since we uh we're people who are really concerned with what is true. We're people who are really smart. That's another thing that I realized about the internet is that are really, really smart, man. I mean, if you check the comments on your videos, you realize that these people, are highly intelligent. I think we must find ways to truly connect more effectively than any other group has ever connected.
Mm,
You know, because I think unity is what's truly going to help us. Imagine if we're truly, truly united, and we're really strong in our beliefs. I think it will make you know it, people who don't really understand internationalism, to want to join,
Mm,
because they've never seen anything like it. So since we are, people who are really, really intelligent, people who really, really think, we should find a way to connect more. I
mm.
think that's really gonna help us a lot. Because I do think we do connect, but I don't think we've reached our full potential in terms of connection.
Mm. No, I agree. I think connecting people like and establishing more like channels of communication is always better because it's like individual antinatalists will have many ideas, but if we don't connect people up, those ideas can't spread. And also they can't develop. Some like I might have an idea that's good, but it's not quite the best it can be, and I've
Yeah.
kind of got like tunnel vision. But if I share it with someone else, like you, if I tell you the idea and you think, yeah, I agree with that, but actually I think if we tweaked it a bit, it would be even better and even stronger. So these like increasing increasing like the channels of communication between antinatalists, I think, is really important because it will help strengthen
The community.
the movement or the community or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, yeah. It will really, really be helpful. And another thing that I think is very important is that we try to operate outside of the system. You know, like if I'm a YouTuber with, like, let's say 50,000, followers, I shouldn't be like, I should only talk to people who have more followers than me and stuff like that. We must operate outside the system, because I think in this matrix that we hate, that's how things work. But we mustn't be like that. We must connect more without looking at where a person comes from, without looking at their color of skin,
Mm,
without looking at how they look. Because I think looks matter in in this matrix. So I think we must just be different, man. Let's create the world that we want, because I think we're capable of doing that. The things that we talk about, man, these things are really, really important. And that's one thing that I like the most about antinatalism, is that we are very concerned with like a better world,
mm,
even though we're saying it, this world just won't work out. But the reason why we think it won't work out is because we're realizing that people are not doing what they need to be doing to make it work. But we're capable of doing what we need to do to make our world work. How do we make our own world work? Even if the matrix is not working, but we got to make our own world work. So I think
mm,
that's really, really important. So if we are really intellectually honest, and if we really, want to see things change in our own lives as internationalists, I think, yeah, we have to break, you operate outside the matrix, operate outside the system.
mm. Yeah, no, I get you. I agree, and I think that that applies to so many um things, with veganism as well. If we want to if you want to be antinatalist and you want to be intellectually honest, you've got to think about, well, what other things do I believe or do I behave in a way that I've just been conditioned from when I was younger?
And that
Um,
are making the system, that are feeding the system, because
mm.
you might hate the system but still be doing things that are you know contributing to the system.
Yeah, exactly. And like I probably do loads of things that still contribute to the system, right? To loads of different systems that aren't the best. And I guess like each of our own personal pursuits of ethics is just trying to figure out what those things are and change what we believe and how we behave so that we can step outside of those things.
Sure,
Um,
sure.
but yeah, that's a really good point to end on because we've just gone over an hour. So we've already mentioned your YouTube channel, obviously, and I'll put that in the description so people can find you. Is there anywhere else that people can like keep up with what you do? Do you have any other social media channels that you use, or is it just YouTube?
If you know people wanna just talk to me one on one, they can follow me on Instagram. It's Benedictines the Vegan. They can also add me on Facebook. I have a Facebook page, Benedictines the Vegan. uh yeah, my Facebook name is Benedictines the Vegan as well. if they just want to talk one on one, I'm always available. I think it's important that we talk to one another, try to help one another, because you can't always be that strong. So you need people that you can connect with, and there are already some people that I talk to on a regular basis, and that also
Mm.
help me a lot. So yeah, it's important that we connect like that.
Okay, amazing. Well, I'll put any links that you send me. I'll put in the description so people can find you. And like, thanks so much for coming on. It's been like good to talk to you and like discover more things, because obviously just watching your YouTube videos, you're just talking about ideas, whereas like here, like we've been able to hear like a bit, a bit more about like you as a person and like how you came to these ideas and stuff. So it's been good to have you. Thank you, man.
Thank you so much, man. I enjoy talking to you, man. The way that you view the world is very interesting, man. I like the fact that you take, a philosophical approach, when it comes to antinatalism. It's not just about
Mm.
feelings. It also has to do with philosophy, and I think philosophy is the only way we can get to the truth. So yeah, I really, enjoy watching your videos as well, man.
Yeah, thank you, and to you as well. And yeah, let's close it off there. And thanks for coming. And I guess I'll see everyone in the next one.
All right, thank you, man. Have a good day.